So did your final. Yes. Okay. The final for German 1, we call the hot seat. Okay. As far as what you jot down as far as notes for how the hot seat is going to work and stuff like that, entirely up to you. There are going to be some very important things that I ask you to write down, so just be aware of that. Basic gist of the hot seat is today you are going to get a list of questions. Ooh, schluck auf. Okay. That list of questions we are going to start going through the answers for starting today. Okay, so within the next couple of weeks, you will have the answers to your final, every single answer. Okay. This is one of those tests that if you study a little bit every night, you're going to ace it. You just will. There's no way not to. Okay? It's just memorizing, and all these questions are about you and your family and what you do in your free time, that kind of stuff. So they're really good questions to be able to answer about yourself. Okay? So even German 4 students, after they take their big final test at the end of their CIS class, they always respond something about, oh my God, it was like channeling my German 1 final. Because all the questions are pertinent to them, and they make sense to them, and it's about you. They're really good if you're traveling to Germany. Okay? How the hot seat works is during finals week, we will have one person at a time come up, and you will be in front of the room. You will be up front for roughly 3 minutes. Okay? I say roughly because there are some times that, well, for starters, I start the timer when the first question has been asked in completion, or you start answering the question. So there are some of these questions that you'll get like 2 words into it. Like if I said, wo wohnst, people who have taken this test before know they don't even need to wait for the 3rd word. They know what the answer is because they've practiced that much. Okay? So as soon as you start answering or the question is finished being asked, then I start the 3-minute timer. The question that you are working on answering when the 3 minutes are up, you can finish. And there are going to be other times where there's some major lulls in the question asking, and I'll explain why in a second, or lots of duplicate questions and stuff. So I'll account for that too. So there are going to be some times that it's going to be, 3 minutes exactly. There'll be other times that it's like 3 minutes and 15 seconds. But, like 3 minutes and 20 seconds is probably as long as it'll be, and it's purely because something else goofy happened during the test. So you get about 3 minutes worth of test question answering time. Okay? When you come up, you have to be in front of the class in some way, shape, or form, but it can be pretty much any way that makes you comfortable. You will have access to my stool. You can sit on the floor. You can sit in the comfy chair, the rolling comfy chair or the other comfy chairs. Okay? You could stand on your head if you wanted to, if it made you feel better, if you felt the blood rushing to your head, helped you answer the questions better, power to you. I need to be able to hear you answer the questions from wherever I am. Okay? That's the big thing. So if you feel more comfortable when you're, in super comfy clothes and you bring in a blanket from home or a pillow or a stuffed animal, whatever, but you can't bring anything that's alive. Okay, that's my number 1 rule. Yeah, I know. I had people that, can I bring in my grandma? No. Okay, so, no. You cannot bring any other live thing in. Don't bring in peanut butter. There's allergies. Stuff like that. But you can bring in a comfort item if you want to. Just cuddle your Jif or something like that. I would say you could eat food while you're doing it. However, do you think that's going to help you actually speak German?
No, but what if that comforts you? Well,
the point is still, I need to be able to hear you and understand you. If you're chewing on food, I'm not going to be able to understand you speak German very well. It's probably not the greatest decision, Allison. Now that's recorded with your name attached to it. 3 minutes and 58 seconds in. I'll send your mom an email. Okay. So do what makes you comfortable. If that means you're facing the wall because looking at, your friends in particular, some reason it ends up being that way. It's not the other people in the class. It's the people you're the closest to that make you freak out. You know what I mean? Yeah. If turning and facing the wall helps you, that's fine. I just need to be able to hear you. Okay? Yep, so you can talk louder. Yeah, that's essentially it. You're going to get a copy of this orange sheet today. I will have a clean copy of these questions up here for you, which means there's no translations or anything like that. But it's kind of another security blanket. Okay, so if you need that visual reminder, you're going to have this question list here. And if you know where it is, then that's fine. And it takes a little bit longer, so you don't answer as many questions, but so it goes. Okay? So your goal is to answer as many questions as you can during that 3 minutes. Now, there's no hard and fast number on how many questions you have to answer in order to get an A, B, whatever. Because There are easy questions, medium questions, and hard questions. Number 18 is the hardest. If you ask anybody who's in German 2 or higher, what's the hardest question in the German 1 final, they will just tell you 18, or beschreib deine Schulweg, which is the question. Okay? It's kind of a rite of passage. That one is describing how you physically get from your house to school, like the route. Okay? But there are also really easy questions like, how old are you? They should not be worth the same. I think you would agree. So if you can rattle off number 18, which there are people who, level 3, level 4 can still just rattle off how to do it because they've memorized it so well, that should get you more points than answering I am 15 years old. Okay? So easy, medium, and hard. On the sheet, it tells you which ones I dictate to be which level, so that you have an idea. Okay? In order to get an A, one thing that you have to have is you must answer a hard level question correctly. Okay. Now, in all the years of doing this, and I've done this for 13 years, there's only been one time where someone wasn't asked a hard level question during their 3 minutes. And how I do that is simply once the 3 minutes is up, I ask the question. Like one of the hard ones, I just pick at random. And then you have your choice, your ability to still answer it. Okay, so no matter what, you'll be guaranteed the option to answer a hard question. The questions are asked by the other people in the room, not by me. That is how you earn your extra credit. So it's not going to be flashcards for extra credit this time. You ask the questions. So sometimes it gets a little chaotic, especially with the first couple people. Everybody's like, oh, I got to get my questions in so I get extra credit. You have plenty of opportunities to get plenty of questions asked. Okay? But you will have the sheet in front of you. Okay. So you have the sheet of questions in front of you, okay, while you're sitting there and somebody else is up front. And you just ask questions as you go. It's not a raising a hand. Nobody's calling on anybody. So sometimes you'll have one person ask a question at a time. There might be like 3 or 4. And you just pick whichever question you hear. If you hear more than one, you pick the one that you want to answer. Okay, so sometimes it works out to your benefit. Okay? Other times there'll be lulls because everybody's looking and thinking of which question hasn't been asked yet. So that's why it's kind of offset. So I keep that in mind when I'm looking at how much time you have. Okay? You must answer the question, or pronounce the question correctly, read the question correctly, in order to get credit for it as far as an extra credit question. Okay? And if you duplicate a question that somebody else has already asked that person, I subtract one of your extra credit questions. Okay? So I'll tally them through the whole thing, and I'll let you know when you're kind of reaching your max. You can get 10 extra credit points. The final itself is worth 100, so you could get 110%. Okay? Lily?
So you never ask us any questions? Or
I will not, unless a hard question is not asked during the 3 minutes.
Okay.
That's the only time that I will.
You have it.
Okay. So, for example, when we're in the final, I'm tallying the person's answers, and I'll show you how I do that in a minute, but I'm also tallying, as best as I can, you guys asking the questions. So you'll sit in your assigned seats, I'll have a seating chart in front of me, and I literally just make tally marks next to your name. Okay? If you ask a question but it's mispronounced, it doesn't help you or hurt you. Okay? If you ask a question and it's pronounced correctly and all that jazz, then I tally, yes, you asked a question. It's roughly half a point per. And if you duplicate, then I make a different section of tally marks for how many you ask. So if you ask 5, but then you also did an additional 2 that were duplicates, then it's 5 minus 2. So then it means you asked 3 questions. Is that clear? Okay. So when I am grading the person who's up front, what that'll look like is simply this. So easy, medium, and hard. Okay? Then you sit up front and you start asking questions. So, if somebody asks you, how old are you? And you answer, well, that's an easy one. So I mark it, you positive, you did a correct answer in the easy category. So eventually you'll get a bunch of tally marks. Usually you get a bunch more easy ones. We'll say it looked like that. Right? You'll find that people are actually really cognizant of the ability level of the person who's up front, and they keep that in mind too. So if somebody's asking or struggling with a bunch of medium questions, you'll find people naturally gravitate towards starting to ask some of the easier ones, because you guys are nice to each other, and that's totally fine. Don't start asking them a bunch of hard questions, because karma is a thing, and it will come back to bite you. Okay? Guaranteed somebody's going to ask you number 18 if you keep doing that. Okay? You know what I mean? So be kind to each other, but also be mindful. If they've only been asked easy questions, start giving them some medium ones. Maybe throw a hard one in there. One of the rules is that you cannot start with a hard question. I think it's just me. Okay? So let them ease into it a little bit. Get warmed up. Get over the jitters a little. Okay? So if you had these, so I've got 7 easy, 5 medium, 2 hards. Okay? Those 2 hards are worth about the same number as the easies that are on there right now. Because it takes longer to get the question out, to get the answer out. Okay? So if you get to 1 and you really have no clue what it is, you get 1 freebie pass. Doesn't matter what it is. The first question that you don't know or completely butcher or just don't want to answer, I mark it like this. So if it was a medium level, I mark it in the medium, I circle it. And that way I know that was your freebie. Okay? If you get to another one and you have no clue about that one either, I'm going to mark it down in the incorrect column, but you should just say pass or don't know, next question, something like that. Because if you do that instead of sitting up there hemming and hawing, I know this one, and you really don't, you're wasting time. May as well get to the questions that you do know and get more that way. Make up for the fact that you didn't know that one. You know what I mean? Okay. If you have a question that was maybe a medium level, and it had some errors, but you kind of knew what you're after, you got the answer out eventually, like somebody could have understood you, but it wasn't really worthy of a full medium credit, I knock it down a category. Okay, so it's not like it's a totally wrong answer, because I still understood, you still kind of answered it, so I'd mark it then in the easy. Does that make sense? Yeah.
What if you butchered like an easy one?
If you butcher an easy one, I'm going to mark it down as a no. Like if you don't know how to say I'm 15 years old, those are the kind of levels for those. I mean, those are all simple, short answers. Yeah. So in the end, what I do is then I tally up the total of number from the top minus the ones on the bottom. Okay, so then right now we've got 8 easy minus 1 on the bottom, so that means you answered 7 easy. Okay, and we've got 5 minus 1, because this one didn't count. You had the 1. Freebie pass, so that's 4. And then you had 2 hard ones. If you answer 2 hard ones and you have a bunch of other ones, that's an A. Because the hard ones are hard. Okay. If you only had the 4 and the 7, and you didn't have any hard ones, maybe in the B. It kind of depends, you know. But remember, you have to have a hard one answered correctly to get an A. Okay. The average grade on this test is usually like 95%. Okay. So, because you have all the answers ahead of time, the ones who don't get A's are the people who don't care and don't look at anything until the night before, or at all. And they just do what's in class, and they struggle. If you simply put 5 to 10 minutes in this, you're golden. The only homework that you guys are going to have, for the most part, from here on out, is flashcards and studying. Okay? Flashcards are going to be a required thing. Okay? So this you want to jot down. Kind of up on the board, but I'm going to put it up on here anyway. We're going to old school flashcards for a couple of reasons. Number one, as we already talked about, your iPads are going to be turning in by June 1st or so. So that means you won't have them for the last week of school, and you want to have access to them. Okay? The other reason is that once we start getting a few more questions in, we're going to start pairing up, doing small groups and then slowly larger groups, so you get used to talking in front of the other people as well. And the way that they know whether or not you've answered the question correctly is because you're going to give them your cards. Then they're basing whether or not you got it right on your answer, since these are all kind of personalized. You know, so that way you don't have to guess whether or not their thing was right, because I'm going to be looking over these cards ahead of time. Okay? So today you're getting the answers for 1 through 6. 2 school days after you get the answer, those flashcards are due. You get 1 point per card. So that means you're going to have 6 answers for Monday on flashcards, so you have 6 points of homework for Monday. Okay? So in the end, you're going to have 47 points of homework, because there's 47 questions. You really don't need to make a face like that every time I say anything, Ethan. Okay? We're going to be going over them 2 days after. Now, usually during work time, I just come around and I quick check, make sure you've got things spelled correctly, you know, stuff like that. Because then I know you're practicing the correct answers. So it's not a waiting until the last minute thing. Okay? So, flashcard should look like this. So this is the front. You don't have to write front. It's just making it clear. Yeah? Okay? You put the question in German. Okay, there's no English on the front side of the card at all. Okay. On the back side, answer in German. If you have other things that you want to put on there, translations, for example, of the question or the answer, or special like pronunciation tips or whatever, that goes on this side as well. Okay, so English is okay. Okay. You should also, somewhere on the card, and have this in a consistent spot. So front, back, doesn't matter. Usually in like a corner is good. Put the question number. So that way when I tell you I'm going to be collecting questions, 12 to 15, you can look at your cards and you know exactly which ones are 12 through 15. You don't have to sit there and match them up. Okay? You can, if you would like to, but it's not required, put the question level. So easy, medium, hard. Some people put those abbreviations. On the sheet you'll find that 1 star is easy, 2 stars is medium, 3 stars is hard. You could use that. Some people get color-coded flashcards. So they make, easy or like white ones, the easy ones, and yellow ones, the medium, and pink, the hard, or whatever. Whatever works for you is totally fine. Okay. Okay. So over the weekend, grab some cards, start getting those answers ready, and then bring them to class with you every single day. I'd suggest some sort of holder or something like that. Plastic baggies are totally fine. Something to keep them together. Okay. Any questions on the flashcards? Okay, I'm going to pass out your sheets now. They are bright orange, so you have a harder time losing them. Okay. This is also online. So if you lose a copy, or you'd like a white copy that doesn't burn your retinas as much, you can go ahead and get your own copy from offline. When it comes to the question sheet, I suggest, aside from your name, leaving this one as a clean copy. Okay, so don't write anything on it, because then it's a good way to test each other, test yourself, yada yada. The other thing that is helpful is that sometimes for the finals days, people get those little plastic sleeves that you can put papers in. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, the clear sleeves or whatever, and then you can get a dry erase marker or something, and you can mark off as you're going which questions that person has asked, so you don't duplicate. So that has been helpful, because then you can just wipe it clean, go to the next person, and so on and so forth. That way it's not as many pencil marks and stuff like that. Yep.
You just mark off points if you repeat the same question for the same person.
Correct. Yep. Sometimes there are people who stick with the same questions over and over and over again, and at some point I'll warn them, and I'll limit you. I'm not going to count the next time you say "Wie alt bist du," because you know how to say that one. But for the most part, yeah, you get questions, or you ask the question and you get the point for it. So. Okay? So, if you kind of glance down, look at number 40. Was ist dein Lieblingsbuch? Can you tell me what that means?
What is your favorite book?
Yeah. So just because they're lower on the list doesn't mean that they're getting harder. It kind of goes all over the place. Okay. So we are going to answer 1 through 6 today. We're going to start that right now. So I'd suggest having a good spot in your notebook. This is the only kind of notes that you're going to be taking for the rest of the year for me. Okay. So even if you've been doing notes on your iPad, I'd flip to paper at this point. Okay. Are there any questions about how the test works? Okay. The only other thing I forgot, finals days are June 9th and June 10th. It's a Thursday and a Friday. We will start no later than the Wednesday. Your class is small enough that we could honestly do all of you in one class period, but I like to give people the option of getting this one out of the way before they have their other finals. So even if somebody wanted to go on Monday or Tuesday, that's totally fine with me. So during finals week, we will do all of the tests, but you can go earlier in the week if you'd like, and we'll sign up for that a week or two ahead of time so you know where you're going. Okay? Questions on that? Sure. All right. Here we go. So, orange sheets out in front of you. If you haven't, I'd suggest put your name on there, just in case you drop it somewhere. Okay. All right. Number 1. How do you ask that question in German? Okay, what are the first three words? Nice and loud. Very good. Everybody, wie heißt du? What does that mean? What are you called? What's your name? Good. Okay. What do you think mit Nachnamen means?
With last name.
Yes, last name. And mit Vornamen would then be first name. Okay. So it's the same concept, just extending it a little bit. Okay. So everybody try the whole thing together. Wie heißt du mit Nachnamen und mit Vornamen? Good. Okay. When you answer this one, I don't care if you answer last name and then first name, or first name and then last name, as long as it matches. You know, you say your last name and then you say the word last name. You know what I mean? Okay. So you're going to start it with Ich heiße. Use your given names, not nicknames. And that'll make sense in a minute here. Okay, so for example, mine. So ich heiße Sullivan. Mit Nachnamen. Und Susie. Yes, I do have a first name. Mit Vornamen. I know. Mind blown, right? They even let teachers out of the school to go grocery shopping and stuff too. It's crazy. I know. Okay. So fill in your names as appropriate, right? Just make sure you have it in the correct spot. So Nachnamen is last name. Vornamen is first name.
So it doesn't matter which one you say.
Nope, so I could say Ich heiße Sullivan mit Nachnamen und Susie mit Vornamen, or I could say Ich heiße Susie mit Vornamen und Sullivan mit Nachnamen. It doesn't matter as long as it's accurate. Okay? Even if you write it down on your card one way, and then you get up front during test time and you flip it the other way, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to have your cards in front of me. Okay? Alright, so everybody repeat the one that's up on the board back. Okay? Ich heiße Sullivan mit Nachnamen und Susie mit Vornamen. When we're practicing these, say them at the same pace as a class, because otherwise it throws off other people's pronunciation stuff, okay? Good. Any questions on that one? Good. Nummer 2. Wie fragt man Nummer 2? How do you ask number 2? Good. Everybody, hast du einen Spitznamen? What's that mean? Do you have a nickname? Do you have a nickname? Which is why you're giving your given name for the first one. Okay? So, I'm going to give you a couple options for this one. So I'd hold off on writing, unless you're writing down what the translation was. Okay? So hold off on writing down your answer until I go through them all. Okay? So is it, do you have a nickname? So you're going to start with yes or no, depending. Okay? So you could say, ja. You can use the orange sheets as you would like. I suggest keeping them blank. So, but you could write the translation in your notebook. You know, so number 1, you know, translation of question and then the answer. Okay. Okay, so for example, if you have a nickname, you could say, ja, mein Spitzname ist Chuckles, or whatever it is. School appropriate, goes without saying. Do not translate nicknames. It never goes well. Okay? Actually, I had a student whose nickname was Chuckles. So, that's what I always makes me think. Okay, if you have more than one, ja, meine, because it's plural. Spitznamen, because it's plural. Sind, because it's plural. Blank. And if you have more than one, you can, or you put the und right before the last one. Okay, so maybe, ja, meine Spitznamen sind Chuckles und Kovacs. Last one, we'll see if I can squeeze it in here. If you do not have a nickname or you don't have a school appropriate one. Nein. Ich habe keinen Spitznamen. It's a capital S. Okay. So figure out which one works for you.
Fail.
Oh, more fail. I love the failing. All right. We're going to practice all of them so that everybody knows how to say the correct things. So repeat what's up on the board. Ja, mein Spitzname ist Chuckles.
Ja, mein Spitzname ist Chuckles.
Ja, meine Spitznamen sind Chuckles und Korvax.
Ja, meine Spitznamen sind Chuckles und Korvax.
Nein, ich habe keinen Spitznamen.
Nein, ich habe keinen Spitznamen.
Gut. Fragen? Nein? Schön. Nummer 3. Wie fragt man Nummer 3?
Wie alt bist du?
Good. Everybody, wie alt bist du?
Wie alt bist du?
What's that mean?
How old are you?
Good. Your water bottle is screaming. Okay, start me off. How are you going to answer this one? Ich bin. And then you have a number. And what comes after the blank? Jahre alt. Does anybody have a birthday between now and June 10th? Excellent. Okay.
I have a question. Do we have to, like, can we just say the number or do we have to spell it out?
On the card, I would suggest doing both, just in case. But I would at least spell it out because then you have the correct pronunciation and all that jazz. Good question. Okay. So what do we got? 14, 15, 16? Are those accurate ages? 14, 15, or 16? Any of those? Yes? No 17s? Okay. Okay, so 14. Wie sagt man 14? 14. 15. 15. 16? There you go. So just fill in the blank correctly for you. Yeah, so ich bin 15 Jahre alt, ich bin 16 Jahre alt, whatever it is. Nummer 4. Wie fragt man Nummer 4? How do you ask number 4? Alright, good. Everybody, wann hast du Geburtstag? What do you think that means? When's your birthday? Yep, they don't say when is your birthday, but when do you have your birthday? Okay, so that's why it doesn't say ist in there. Okay, so I'm going to give you, it's a little bit longer one. Leave sizable blanks for when we get to the date. Okay, because I'm going to teach you how to do those. Okay, so everybody will say, ich habe and then this is where your date's going to go. This is where your month is going to go. If you know the month, you can fill it in now, otherwise we'll answer questions about that in a second. And then at the end, Geburtstag. Okay. If you need help knowing the month, raise your hand. Or spelling or pronunciation, any of those things. August is spelled the same. All months are capitalized, but August is pronounced August. Spelled the same? September. Yep.
Years and the date, I'm sorry.
Say again? We're not doing years. Trust me on this one. Any other months? Okay. So I'm going to go to the next slide and show you how to do the numbers because you're not just going to say, my birthday is on 23 September. Right? You're going to say 23rd. You know? Okay. So ordinal number. There you go. I'm going to give you, there are a couple exceptions to some rules. So I'm going to give you those exceptions first. I want everybody to write down all of these ordinal numbers because you'll need them for something else later too. Okay? So, first of all, to know, we write it like that. So first, Germans put the number and then a period. That period is the ST, the RD, the ND, I mean all those, TH. It's all of those things. And just simply putting a dot there, which is super nice. Yeah? Okay, so to say first, you'll say ersten. Everybody try that, ersten. Okay, so if your birthday was May 1st, you would say, ich habe am 1. Mai Geburtstag. Okay? Remember, we're doing the exceptions first. So third, you'd write it as 3 and a dot. Try that one. Dritten. Okay. Last exception is the 7th, and you would say siebten. Try that. Siebten. Okay. The rest of them follow a pattern. Okay, so if it's between the 2nd and the 19th, you add the number, and then ten at the end of it. So if you're going to say second, what's the number for 2? Or how do you say 2? Zwei. So then you put zwei here, and your second is now zweiten. So zweiten, fünften, sechsten, achten, zehnten, elften, zwölften, dreizehnten, fünfzehnten, whatever it is. Does that make sense? 19. For the 20th and beyond, 20th and higher, same idea, but you're going to add S-T-E-N. So if you were the 21st, how do you say 21? Yep, ein und 20. So it becomes 21. Okay? So take a minute, fill in your correct number in those blanks. So you should fill in all of the blanks as we're going. Yep.
Since mine's A, so you say is that you put another 2 for
I'm sorry, what was the number?
8?
So you take 8, because it's between 2 and 19. So you take 8, so 8.
So will it
Oh, there's 2 10. No. Good question. Just 1 T. Mm-hmm. Very good question. Everybody got what you need for your birthdays?
So you just say like the number and then the month right after, or do you have to say like of?
There is no of. Nope. So if we... Alright, we're going to move on. Nummer 5. Wie fragt man Nummer 5? How do you ask it? Good. Everybody. Wie viel wiegst du? Any idea? How much do you weigh? Now here's the thing. You get the freebie pass. If this question bothers you, just know you're going to use it as your pass if you get asked. Okay? Still want you to fill it out on your flashcard. The reason we do this one is because it's about measurement conversion. It's not like it can ask you how much does 500 grams of apples weigh, because it's already converted. Okay, so we're using this one. Okay. The other thing to keep in mind is that people are going to be so focused on figuring out what the next question is that they're going to ask you, they're not going to be listening to your answer. Only I will be. And as long as you're in the ballpark, you're good. Okay, it'll be really obvious whether or not you're off. Okay, because you take the number of pounds that you are, and you're going to be multiplying it roughly by half. So if you tell me that you're 200 kilo, you're not 400 pounds. I know you're wrong. That's more what I'm looking for. Like, did you attempt it, or like, do you have a clue what it is that you're talking about? Okay, so everybody will say ich wiege, and that's pronounced wiege, yeah, like vegan, kind of. And then a number, and capital K, and kilo, for kilogram, yeah? So how you determine that is you take your number of pounds, and again, this is ballpark. I don't care what your exact amount is. I don't care if you gain or lose a couple pounds, you know, between now and then. It really doesn't matter. That's not the point. Okay, so number of pounds times 0.4536. And then round it. So don't give me decimals for this one or the next one. Okay, so if you're 100 pounds times 0.4536, that means you are 45 kilo. Okay? You're welcome to take out calculators, phones, iPads, whatever you need to figure out that number very quickly. Okay? And again, you're rounding it, and just fill it in there. So I'm just going to put a random number in here. We'll go with 75. Okay? So again, I'm looking for if you're in the ballpark range. And you can fill in your number. Woohoo! Keep those calculators handy because we're going to use them for the next one too. Okay. Nummer 6. Wie fragt man Nummer 6? Good. Everybody, wie groß bist du? What's that mean? How tall are you? Richtig. Okay, so they don't use feet, so we're going to do another conversion here. Okay? So, you're going to start off with Ich bin ein Meter, like Mater from the movie. Yeah, it is capitalized. Meter, pronunciation. Okay, and then you're going to put another number in here. We need a guinea pig. Who wants to tell me their height? Yep. 5'6". Okay, 5 feet is 60 inches. So you add 6 more to that. So you are 66 inches tall. Yes. Everybody with me so far? Multiply that by 2.54. Want to tell me what your final number is there? You can round it.
167. Oh wait, no, that'd be 168.
Okay, so 168. This 100 is this ein Meter part. It's already included. Okay. So the only part that you're going to include on here is this 68. That is your magical number. That is going up here. Okay? So, no one in here is 2 meters tall. I promise you. So everybody's going to be ein Meter and then a 2-digit number. Okay? So, figure out what it is. Use your calculator. If you want to run it by me to make sure that you've done it correctly, feel free to do so. So, Alyssa, for example, will be Ich bin ein Meter, 68. You do not use, oh, I spelled that wrong. You do not use centimeter or anything like that. Does that make sense? Okay, so I figured that one out right now. So use your calculators again. Again, number of inches. If you're 6 foot, you're starting with 72 and adding inches to that. Okay, and then multiplying it. Ballpark? Not even, you know, within an inch or so? You're about the same?
Yeah.
There you go then. I mean, if you want to, you're welcome to stand up and do a comparison if you want. It really doesn't matter.
I think you're a little shorter than
Okay? And that is the end of your notes for today. So these are the cards that you should have ready to go for Monday to have checked. Okay?